All right. Hi. Hi, welcome. I'm getting ready to record, but he is watching the whole yard for chipmunks so he can try to myrtleize them. He never catches one, but he's never gonna stop trying. And it makes me so proud of him as a mommy. What, you want to sit in the lap? Okay. Oh, what was that? Oh, goodness me. Oh, there we go. Okay. Hi, welcome to Fiber Love Diary. I'm Trish if we haven't met, and if we have met, welcome back. How are you? You probably just saw me yesterday. Maybe not. You could be new. Maybe you're picking this up later. You're actually at my desk today where I did the whole breed study. I bet some of you feel nostalgic, but you need to see this because it's funny. Look at this desk. Since I always show you guys this stuff, this is what it's like to be me. This is what it's actually like to be in my head, kind of. So I got to have lunch with one of my best friends today. I'm in a good mood. Everything's great. Yesterday, the video on ice dyeing some silk brick is what they called it, came out, and you guys had tons of questions. A lot of things came up that I wish I had anticipated so I could have answered them in the video, but I didn't. And I think this is really just going to be a quick follow-up to answer all those things. But in case you haven't seen it yet, first of all, I'll link it below. But in case you haven't seen it yet, this is the result. This is silk brick is what they called it. Ice dyed with some acid dyes from Paradise Fibers. All this and the dyes came in one subscription box. Okay. Also, the unboxing will be linked below, just in case you're like, I need to know more. Sometimes I feel that way. So I made myself some very organized notes on some drug paper. My mom used to be a therapist. She's retired now, and that's how I got all these drug notepads, and I still am using them. There was that. That was the silk that we dyed. I have some kind of like questions and clarifications and stuff like that. I thought I'd just answer them all here. The first and most important thing is, normally when I do this, you guys have seen me do it before if you've watched me dye much on this channel. Normally I wear a mask. This is the one I like. I will link it on Amazon. I was told that it had to have this kind of filter on it, but I don't really, you know, I'm not a doctor. So, but I do think you should protect your lungs. Some of those dyes can be lung irritant in dry form. That's the reason why I wear this when I'm mixing. So normally I wear this. I don't know what possessed me, but I did not wear it on Sunday. I was outside. Maybe part of my brain was like, you're safe, you're outside, but you should still wear it. Okay, that's number one. But it's really important, right? I want you to be safe. So second, you guys had questions about basically like what is the advantage, what is the reason why I would ice dye instead of other techniques that I've used, and I've used I don't know how many techniques on this channel. I'm sure there's different reasons why you would want to ice dye, but for me, the reason I like it is because it introduces a level of chaos that isn't really my like my normal style, because as the water runs down off the ice, it carries the dye into directions that you don't know are going to happen. So for me, because I tend to generally be more of like a controlled dyer, placing the colors where I want them to be, it's always good for me to do something a little more chaotic, a little less predictable. So that's the reason why I ice dye once in a while every summer. And also, I have found when I'm dyeing, a lot of the best effects and colors and things like that that I've ever had are the things that are a surprise and that happen unplanned, and you definitely get a bunch of that when you ice dye. So I like that. Some of you were wondering about the Tour de Fleece. I meant to say something in the beginning of the last video. I just completely forgot. I was all excited about doing the dyeing, and I am gonna spin live. So the plan right now is for the very first day, which is Saturday, June 26th, 2021, I am gonna spin at 2 o'clock my time, which is Greenwich Mean Time -4, I believe. I am in the Detroit time zone, in case you're trying to figure out what time. It's all the way across the state, but it's still the same time zone. So if you want to join me, I will be able to read and respond to comments. We're gonna set up a TV as a monitor, I think, for me. That's the plan anyway, so I can spin in front of it and we'll be able to read comments and interact. But if you guys are spinning with me, you won't be able to type comments, so maybe I'll just be sitting there staring at a camera spinning. Whatever, you know what, we're doing it. So my goal for the tour is just to spend 20 minutes a day. So I'll come on at 2 o'clock, about 10 minutes before I actually start my clock, and I'll just start it, you know, while we're waiting and whatever. And then I will spin for 20 minutes. And I think I'm gonna prepare a list of questions just in case, because there's always tons of them, and I've started the next Q&A like list. But I am definitely gonna start by spinning the silk all alone. I haven't been able to stop thinking about spinning it all on its own. And what I'm gonna do is, since it was 2 different dye jobs, what I'm gonna do is like take a narrow strip of this and spin it, and then take a narrow strip of this and spin it, and go back and alternate so that it looks like it's all one dye job, because no one's gonna know the difference. That's the plan. I hope you'll join me. That's my whole goal this year. I've had different goals over the years, trying to do things I have never done before and all that kind of stuff. But this year, my goal is just gonna be to spend 20 minutes a day and do it live with you guys. The replays will always be out there. Next question. The question was, what was my plan to heat set the silk top that was on the rack inside the steel pan? So I did assume some dye would run off into the pan, and my plan at the time was to pour off that dye and then put some water in the bottom of the pan, put the lid on, and steam it in there. So once the lid is on, it really holds in the moisture. I was gonna put like a good solid 2 inches of water in the bottom of the pan. That isn't how it worked out. If you've seen the video, you already know that. But that was what I was intending to do. One of you suggested, and I think I might try this one more time during summer, that it might have been cool to soak some wool with the silk and then put the wool underneath, so that as it runs down and off the silk, it runs into wool that's in the bottom of the pan. Genius idea. I think I need to try it, and it's probably going to be happening sometime this summer. So I think we should do that. Don't you guys think that would be cool? One of you asked how much ice I used. I had a 7-pound bag of ice. They also had like, I think it was 20 or 25-pound bags where I got mine, and those are quite big. So 7 pounds did all of it, plus I probably didn't even need all of it. Oh, and some of you guys have talked about doing how you dyed your own, and you tried to heat set it one way or another. There's been a couple, and then it still bled a lot. So I talked about this before. Silk can bleed a lot. If you buy Sari silk, it will always say this is probably gonna bleed. It's so funny because when I got this silk in the box and it was all like nice and white, I was thinking, well, do I actually want to, you know, use this in a way where I don't exactly know how it's gonna turn out, and blah 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 blah. I have probably, I don't know, 5 pounds or more in my stash. Like, if I was so obsessed with doing organized silk dyeing, I could have done it long ago, but I haven't been doing it. So that's what made me say, like, Trish, stop. You've got to stop, right? The wool that went in the pan, and this is it, by the way. It's actually darker than it shows up on the camera, but it's because I have a lot of light in here. Isn't it so pretty? I'll also be spinning this during the tour. So when I put the wool in, there was a lot of dye in there, and it has soaked up every single bit of the dye. There were some like little particles, but I'm still not entirely sure those were dye. This dye is definitely good, and some silk is just gonna bleed. I don't really fully understand it, to be honest, because I've had silk hankies that can take up the exact same colors that I try to put on silk top, and the hankies will exhaust the dye completely and the top will not. I don't know. So I don't think it's the way that you did it. And I definitely don't think there's anything wrong with the dye, because once I put wool in there, it was like gone. More than one of you asked, did soaking the top for 2 full days help get the dye all the way to the center? So I did lay it out. I don't know if you guys could really see what I was doing, but when I was laying it out on that rack, I was like opening it up, and I'm gonna show you. Well, I'm gonna try to show you. Okay, so here's a pretty well dyed bit. There is no white in the middle. There's no white in the middle. The color definitely went all the way through. Or here's maybe an even better place to show you. See this, like, look. There's no white in there. Again, I had soaked this for 3 days. It said up to 2 days, but you know, you guys know me. And so I had soaked it for a full 3 days, and yes, the dye went all the way through. So I'll definitely be doing that in the future. Wish I had known that last time. Okay, so somebody else asked if I had any of the dye powder left. I do have some of the like magenta color and some of the blue left. The yellow, I did use every single little bit of it. Well, yes, I still have some. I could have dyed a whole bunch more fiber. And last, you guys asked, how did I get the dye off my hands? Because by the time I filmed the like finished video, which was, I filmed it the next day, the dye was all gone. So one of the things that I do when I do that, although I've gotten a lot better, I used to do it all the time, but over the past, I don't know, 2 years maybe, I've gotten a lot more conscientious about wearing gloves. I have quite a few different gloves in my stash. When I do get dye on myself, one of the first things I'll do, and I don't know if this is probably, I don't know, I wouldn't recommend you do this like on a regular basis, but one of the first things I do is wash my hands with like Barkeeper's Friend or Soft Scrub or Comet or something that is exfoliating, has like some grit in it, and then also has some bleach in it, and that takes off most of it. And then just from washing my hands throughout the day and then showering the next morning, it just kind of like disappeared. I know some people like really don't want that to happen, but I've dyed my hands so many times, I'm kind of okay with it now. You guys have commented before about how I wear a white shirt sometimes while I'm dyeing. I don't usually get it on me anymore. If I can manage to keep it off my clothes, I'm just so happy that I'm okay with walking around with like blue hands. I hope you will join me for spinning during Tour de Fleece. I hope I'm not too boring. It's gonna be 2 o'clock my time. I am Eastern Standard Time. I'll see you guys Saturday, and bring your wheels or your knitting or your loom or your crocheting or your felting or whatever you've got. I'll talk to you guys Saturday. Thanks. I love you. Bye.